What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be playing around with a title called Oasis Mission. This one's been rattling around in my Steam inventory for a while, and I just hadn't happened to get the chance to play around with it yet. So today was kind of a reasonably dead day where I was sitting around staring at my monitor and browsing Reddit, and I figured, why not give this one a shot here today, since we've got kind of an open field for game releases. I played it for about an hour and kind of figured out the basic controls, but be forewarned, this is definitely going to be an old school first impressions video where I'm kind of going into this blind, and we're just going to see what the game throws at us and if we can figure it out as we go along. But Oasis Mission is a game where you decide whether you are an industrialist, a militarist, or a scientist, and your job will be to colonize a planet while being attacked by sort of alien pirates and extracting as many resources out of the place as you can in order to make money and supply needs, things of that nature. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, it is in early access. You can find a link down below in the description. It's currently being sold for $15. On top of that, you can find a bunch of other Nerd Castle links on down there that I'd love to have you at. But let's go ahead and get started with the game. So on a new game, we've got to decide whether we want to be industrial, scientific, or militaristic. So our goal will be to destroy 10 attacking Oblivion ships. We start out with shipyard, factories, things of that nature. If we go with the scientists, we get the science city, and so it looks like we need to get 400 research points. We've got a large wind turbine available from the beginning of the game, which would be nice for energy generation, and we've got a research center available from the beginning of the game, which allows us to generate tech points so that we can buy new researches. We've also got the industrialists. They've got an industrial complex over here. It looks like they want us to make 6 new jobs making resource production facilities, and we get a packed slot for that. I'll talk about what those are a little bit later on into the video. We've got a petroleum generator over here, so it looks like they go for oil much earlier than the other factions do. Last time I played, I went with the industrialists because I figured if there was hostile Xenos around, we should make ready to purge them, brother. And it looks like the final building they have on this side is the oil rig. I'm not crazy interested in the industrialist or the scientist. I'm gonna be honest with you, I like big guns, and I like bullying aliens into non-existence, and so we're gonna go with militarism over here. We've got occasional short-term economic crises. We've got frequent economic crises. Maybe we'll go with just the normal middle ground. It looks like over here we've got the risk of being attacked. I'm assuming the middle one is the one that we're supposed to pick in all cases, so I'll go for that as well. And then we've got to pick a map over here, of which there appears to be 6. We've got a foggy island, we've got Greenland, it looks like we've got Guardians of the River, an icy plateau, a hot canyon. I like the idea of a river base, but I also like the idea of having kind of like a Nevada desert that we're building inside of, although I would guess that that's probably not going to have nearly as much water available. So let's go with this for a first run. We might as well go with a map that's going to have things that we need to have available. We'll start our company off, and it looks like we don't actually get to name our company, dude. I was excited about naming my company something intimidating sounding, like, you know, Merovingian International or something like this. Something that's got like a little bit of, you know, that Kung Lao industrial kind of vibe where it has that sense of foreboding to it. I like to get into character when I play games like this. We'll skip out on all the tutorials because I've already kind of played through these prior to checking the game out here, just to get my basics underway. But welcome to our new colony. This is where we live at. We've got kind of a weird skybox inside of this game. I don't know why it's like that. You can change it around, I think. I think the time needs to be turned on. Yeah, if you turn on the time, you can get different sort of weather and light settings. I'll try to get one that's good for video making here. There we go. That one seems like it's going to be roughly where we want it to be. We definitely don't want to do a nighttime colony, so we'll do something in the afternoon. We've got a timeline at the top. Bad things happen whenever one of these big red boxes arrives, or like a red thing happens on the timeline. Luckily, it seems to progress pretty slowly. I played for an hour and this first box still had not arrived, so we don't need to worry about that too much. But while we're chilling here, I'm going to take this first little ship, and we start out with one vehicle. It's got 2 spots so that we can put engineers or, you know, soldiers or whatever inside of it, and we we can transport them around. But more importantly, it has other abilities. It has the capability to manufacture habs, and then over on this side, it can also extract ore. So we're going to enable that, we're going to enable that, we're going to enable, well, we won't enable that for right now. And then we're just going to set him to work to go and mine over off this node until we've got maximum ore, and he should just take care of that all by his lonesome, and I will see you on the other side. Well, actually, we've got a few things. So we've got to pick a goal over here. We can get a shipbuilding center, which will give us $2,000 to fool around with. So 2 new jobs in constructing ship parts. Okay. We've got 2 new jobs constructing resource production facilities, and then make 200 of them. And then we've also got the Atlas City. Buy or sell 60,000 worth of goods with any available partner to attract the attention of the Metropole as a partner. Okay, I'll probably go with let's go with the shipbuilding center first and foremost. I don't know if this game is using AI art. It's not denoted on the Steam page. I ran a couple of the images being used inside the title through a detector. Nothing came up. It said that we were good to go, so here we are recording. We also have a pact that we want to make. This is kind of a short-term bonus that we get. Every now and again, they just allow us to get bonuses for doing things. We can go with a marketing campaign. That makes us get more engineers whenever there's an engineer drop-off. We can do a motivational campaign. It looks like it allows our engineers to gain morale faster. We've got propaganda of efficiency, which makes them work faster. Or we can request that the hegemon or whoever it is that's in charge of this star system send over a fleet to wipe out the enemy, but our oblivion level is not that high right now, so we don't really need to worry about it. Maybe we'll go with extra engineers for a little bit, and you unlock more of these slots as you complete your goals so that you can have more buffs, and you can also have more undertakings that you're focusing on. So while he's mining, at the beginning of the game, we've got a couple of concerns. We definitely want to get a little bit of power up and running. And I don't know exactly where I want to put my base at just yet. Probably somewhere inside of these woods would be a decent idea. And what you'll see here is when I plop this down, because I have this ship already set up to construct buildings, he's going to auto-target that, and he's going to head over there to drop off the ore that's required in order to get it running. The other thing that we're going to need to have is I would like to have a research center. That needs to be inside the power grid, and so we will rotate this guy, and we'll put a research center like right there. We also need a small engineering camp, which is it's sort of like an engineering camp is a place where your engineers live, but if you see the red ring of influence right there, it auto-assigns workers to go work inside of any building that doesn't have any workers inside of it. So it's also kind of like a job distribution hub. The game seems to be leaning very heavily in a logistical direction from what I've seen so far. Although I can't say what's past like the first hour of gameplay. It seems like the game wants you to kind of have these daisy chains of things that fulfill needs of other things as you're going through the game. That seems to be the general motif that it's playing around with. Now that our 2 buildings are down, we don't have any human beings that we need to look after just yet, but they will have sort of Anno-style needs once they arrive, where their efficiency and just kind of like their tier goes up if they have access to things like clean water, if they have access to like vegetable bento boxes, things of that nature. Their quality of life, they're going to want it to go up as time goes along. So I'm sort of trying to set up the basics here before we put in the landing hub, because once we put in the landing hub, it's going to start dropping engineers on us pretty much non-stop for the rest of the game, and we're going to need to find places for those engineers to be. So now that we're capped up on ore, it's time for us to put in our landing pad, which is where our engineers are going to arrive from. And we'll just put that right behind the research facility, I think, so that every single day while they're trying to do delicate scientific work, they've got to deal with the windows rattling, all of their counters vibrating, the spectrometers having all of their lenses knocked out of alignment. I like to build my city with a sense of humor. And now that our landing pad is all nice and in place, what you'll notice is they'll start dropping off guys. Like there'll be blue ships that fly through that drop off Peepo. I'm just going to put him on mining for now because I'd like him to have a full cargo hold before we go any further. But you may have noticed that there's these little overlays right here that come up when I'm building buildings. These are deposits of resources that we've got to get access to as time goes along, and it's already prompting us for that first access. And so let's use some of the research points that we got for that first mission to get ourselves a, let's see, what do I need? A pumping station would be good, since that's the next thing they want me to build. And then the pumping station, I think, is right here. We need that to be inside das Power Grid. And so we'll put that right there because it needs to be inside of our little Venn diagram of who has power and who has water. So this thing will actually pull up water and start storing it in alternate locations. From there, my hope is we need to... Does this require aluminum? It does not require aluminum, so we're good on that front. We also have 2 engineers that are awaiting delivery, so we're going to enable this ship for fast transport. Anytime we have engineers sitting around, he's going to pick them up, and he's going to drop them off in places where they are needed. But he does have a range, so he can build buildings and also mine while he's doing this. And you can see he's moved the 2 engineers into his cargo bay, and he's probably going to drop them off inside the engineering camp, would be my assumption. Yeah, he dropped one off inside the engineering camp, and what you will notice is that one that he dropped off, it's already gone to work inside the research center, so we're starting to generate a few research points every X amount of time. But we're going to need a few more of these buildings to really make it work. Now, this guy right here is producing 420 kilowatt hours. This is reducing us by 60. There doesn't seem to be a great way to figure out, so this is one of those things that vexed me about this game as I got further on into it, is there doesn't seem to be like a hotbar that slides out that tells you the sum total of your power, your water totals, and everything that's stored up inside of your warehouses. I would like that to be a thing. It's possible that I just missed it, but with a game like this, it should kind of be obvious just from the get-go. It shouldn't be, that's kind of like a basic UI implement that should just be a part of the core UI around here somewhere. They could even fold the threat levels and whatnot into it. So if they had like a little menu over on one side, they could fold it all into that, and they could actually get rid of a lot of these icons over here and put it all inside of a sliding menu that comes out from the left that allows you to do everything. And then that would also clear up your viewport a little bit, and then they could sort things kind of Gestalt style by shape and by function, I guess. For now, let's get a few more houses all nice and ratcheted on in. And so we'll try to get a number of engineering, basically like an engineering district over here. However, this is going to hurt our power supplies, so I'm kind of future-proofing, but simultaneously, I'm also going to be trying to get some wiggle room when it comes to all of my different power grids and whatnot. We'll get a thing called a distributor pretty soon that gives us a massive footprint for our power grid. In fact, I can probably buy it right now. Can I buy it right now? I need 36 before I can buy it right now. So that's not going to be an option. It also wants me to get down on a warehouse pretty shortly before we do anything else. And we'll just try to get all of our industries gathered around this area. So all of our preliminary construction is done. We are now producing around 840 kilowatt hours. These are each 60. This guy over here is 60. Basically, all the starting buildings are 60s. So we should be able to do some basic math to figure out whether or not this is going to work. And it's going to be 9 times 60. So we've got like a 300 power surplus for right now. He's going back to mine. I was kind of waiting on research points to come in, but we've got enough for a distributor, and we've also got enough going on right now so that we can get access to a warehouse. However, this is going to be a little bit more complex of a build. Let's get the distributor in right there. We're not going to have the resources to get said distributor done just yet, but for the distributor construction, we're also going to need access to aluminum, which is over here across the river. This will all get a little bit smoother once we have access to multiple logistics ships, but for right now, we've only got one ship. Like later on, you get to like build and customize your fleet, but for the moment, we don't have that available, so I've got to kind of like slow boat this thing out. Distributor is now officially finished off. So we've got a full power grid right now that's actually up and functioning. I don't know why he's still trying to mine aluminum. I don't want you to mine aluminum. Now what I need you to do is to put in a warehouse that will make all of this function a little more effectively. So I'll put a warehouse down here just by the river, and then we'll come back once that's all done. Warehouse is finished off, so now this thing will handle goods distribution inside of this area for outputs and inputs, and that should make life a little bit easier. They want me to make shipyards and things now, so we're starting to get into the crux of the game, which is the manufacturing of customizable ships. The ship that you started out with actually has a lot of baseline customizations taken care of, and so we've actually got to get access to self-producing all of these things through the building of a small shipyard. And so let's see if we can get that done. So we've got a shipyard over here. It's going to take 25 ore. Unfortunately, I'm packing way too much aluminum right now. Is there anything I can do to get rid of some of that aluminum? Let's get a ship parts factory set up right there. And then we'll have the ship constructor right there. All nice and done. So it looks like we're squared away. We've got our ship parts factory over here doing its thing. However, it needs aluminum and ore to be inside of storage in order to function. So now would be the time for us to grab a secondary ship. So let's see what we can do here. I would say let's put a universal laser on this guy that it wants us to produce. That way he can also mine and construct buildings. We'll confirm that design. And that should be good for us right here. So let's have him just kind of run over to here. And I don't know if there's a way for us to set up him going and mining ore and then dropping it off at the nearest storage. But if he can just get ore, that would be fantastic, and then help out with construction, because this guy's over here just grabbing aluminum for us for the near future, and I don't know what this economic stressor is going to be once it arrives. It could really be kind of anything. So we are now officially, we've got it like automated so that they're mining from both aluminum and also from just normal iron ore, and they'll be dropping it off inside the storage. The downside is this thing actually produces really, really quickly, so I think we're going to have to micro it a little bit because it doesn't have limits. So ideally what I'd like to see here is on this building, there would be a slider or like a number right here, produce until, and then automatically turn off. So if I have 250 ship parts, it would turn off and stop functioning. These guys would start dumping off to get a surplus, basically. But I don't see that for right now. Maybe that's something we unlock from a building a little bit later that allows us to control our economic inputs and outputs with a little bit more precision. Still, we've got 125 research to play around with. I need a second class, so what's the difference between these two? He's got more HP. It looks like he produces more power, so he's got a better reactor. It looks like he can store more loot as well. So let's go ahead and unlock that guy right there. I'm going to save up 100 so that we can get our first fighter to protect the colony. Since it's obviously hostile space, they made us select that option. So I'd like to make a batch of like 3 or 4 starfighters that just have missile launchers or like basic ballistic weaponry in order to protect us. But we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like there's quite a few ship parts that we can get down with here. So we might have to play, ooh, a light dual launcher. I like that. A mule, a specialized construction ship, engine improvements. Okay, cargo tankers so we can move liquids better. All right, so we've got some customizations here. It looks like we can also research new buffs that we can put inside of our buff slot if we want to. Might be kind of spicy. I could see that being useful. And now we've got our third ship up and running. So this should get a little bit smoother as time goes along and allow us to store up quite a bit more stuff, because the ship parts right here, they produce pretty rapidly, and it looks like we get them in like batches of 6 and 12s depending on whether or not they've got access to the 3 aluminum and the 3 ore. And so the better off we are in just stacking up goodies right here, I think the more efficient we'll be at producing ships. But we do have research available. Let's buy our Skylancer, and we'll start getting some of those up and running. I don't know how many parts the Skylancer is going to cost us, so let's jump on into the shipyard, and we'll take a look at the Skylancer. So it's got a 100 ship parts base, and if we wanted to produce something even sexier, we don't have any ship parts just yet, like armor plating or engines, but we do have modules. Maybe I'll wait till research comes in to get this guy, like, up-armored. We do have a new goal that the game is asking us for, so we can construct more research centers. That probably wouldn't be the worst idea. I think that's probably a decent idea right there. I was thinking about expanding out research. Yeah, let's take a goal to get a secondary batch, so I need to make 2 more research centers. Okay, I think we can do that. Let's get in here. And as far as research centers go, they need to be kind of near the livable area. How big is the ring on these guys? There is a ban on resource extraction. Okay, so seismologists and geologists plan to conduct studies of the Earth's crust directly beneath our colony. They are asking us to halt operations to ensure that the research results are not distorted by the equipment's activity. So for 5 minutes, we suspend our It looks like oil and water extractions. All right, we don't have anything consuming water right now, so that's totally fine. We're going to need something that does water extraction pretty soon. We're going to need to make food factories so that it upgrades our engineers and makes them happier. If you click on your engineers inside their jobs, for each thing they have available to them, they get happier, and their morale becomes more resistant to decay. And so I do like how it added an icon right there to remind me that there's an active thing taking place. It looks like we do have enough ship parts, too, to where we can put together our first Skylancer. So let's confirm that design. And it looks like we now have our first defensive ship that's going to be flying around our colony. Cool. Do I have enough research to get him any kind of, like, up armor platings or anything? I need 100 for a light hull. Okay. I think we could conceivably use another second tier truck mod as well. You can also retrofit these ships, by the way, if you want to. You can retrofit them to do other stuff. We'll put a universal laser in there and we'll get this guy going because I need more iron mining. We do have a food factory ready to go. So I'm going to plop in a food factory. That way we're using our water for something beneficial. But just in case we end up needing more water, can I put multiple pumps on the same aquifer? I would assume that I could. And so it looks like they're getting to work actually just like piecing stuff together now. Okay, cool. Kind of a little bit of a chaotic experience. I'm guessing that we don't have any ATC guiding people around and telling them what it is they're supposed to be doing. But hey, maybe it'll be all right. So that consumes 1.5. We're probably going to need a few more water pumps then. Let's put in one right there. We'll put in another one right there too. Just to make sure that these are producing 0.8 each. And this guy takes 1.5, which is basically all of our water. But this food factory right here, with the engineers inside of it, should allow us to start making actual food that these guys can eat, rather than whatever nasty nutrient sludge we've been shoving down their gob. I think it's time for us to make a few more Skylancers, just to make sure that we have enough oomph to protect our claim. So there's one right there. We'll put him with the overall fleet. We'll build another one. I would like to be able to queue up multiples of these to be... So what I'd like to be able to do is you make a blueprint of these, and then when you click on this guy right here, so like this blueprint that I've made, you should be able to save it and give it a name, and once you've done that, when you click on this guy right here, there should be buttons either above or below, or maybe this thing just expands with all of your pre-builds, and you click it, and you can queue them up so that it starts producing them for you. And looky there, I had to reconfigure things a little bit to get all the overlays to work, but we are now producing plant food, which should be going out to all of our engineers. Yeah, there we go. They've got a little morale boost right there. I think we're going to have to purify some water pretty soon, because right now everybody's drinking kind of like sludge. But we also have an attack coming on in, and I'd love to see what that looks like before we adjourn for the day. So let me just kind of play freely with the game accelerated, and when we get to the battle, maybe that's where we'll call it a video. But so far, I'm pretty happy with everything that I've seen here. I think the UI is definitely pretty cluttered, and there's probably a better way to represent all the information that's inside of there. That would probably be the first main thing that I would work on, is that there's definitely ways that we could unify this entire UI to unfold, display all the player information that they need as they go along, while at the same time allowing it to slide off to the side and be hidden and give you like a full field of the battle over here. And after a wee bit of time, we've got our first attack coming on in. I've retrofitted our entire fleet over here. Just to have all the things that I have available right now. So we've got extra reactors, extra hulls, we retrofit everybody. It was a very, very clicky experience though. I would like to see a tab right here that goes along with, so you set up a pre-build for every type of ship, and then if you change it, everybody goes back and automatically retrofits on their own, just to limit the amount of clickiness here. My experience of the last hour recording or so is that, like, this is a good game at its core. I like what I'm looking at, but it definitely needs some UI work in order to bring the whole thing together and tie it off with a bow from what I've seen. But I am enjoying playing the game. Let's see what happens with this attack. I've got a pretty decent little fleet over here. hopefully they're good enough to hold off the enemy. I don't know. I've never been attacked in this game before. I guess we'll find out what kind of stuff the aliens are made out of. While I was edited out, too, I also learned how to set up logistical chains. So the basic way that it functions is, if you have things in storage and they're inside the distribution radius, your people will go back and they will consume clean water and plant food until they are happy, which means that you can have big drains if you have morale problems, like I did. I was in the red, and now everybody should be in the green, because they basically just hedonism on out in order to fulfill their needs while you're there. And so that's a little thing that you need to be aware of before you play the game too. But the good news is, via having good morale, everybody is ranking up, so they should become much better workers as time goes along. An enemy scout is here. Make a decision. We need to destroy it as soon as possible. Captain, a reconnaissance ship under Oblivion's control is spotted nearby. Most likely it already transmitted data about our location. Further attacks are inevitable. So it looks like our first attack is just one little dude. Where's he at? Oh, there he is right there. He's coming in from that side. You guys, can you go splash him? Here, go ahead and group up over here. I can't rubber bandbox all these ships, which I wish that I could. Maybe, can I shift click them, control click them? Yeah, have them all get out here, and let's see if we can fight these guys. It looks like they are indeed fighting, but there's not a whole lot of graphics to go along with it either. So that would be another thing that I would hope to see change, is I actually want to see the rockets launch out of these guys as they're engaging with one another. For right now, it looks like they're kind of just auto-battling when they're in close proximity with each other. But this is Oasis Mission. The developer seems to be really receptive to suggestions. My suggestion is that the game just needs a lot of UI work, and then there's some visual polish to be done here with the battle as well. I don't think that the auto-battling thing that it was doing right there, where guys just randomly take damage and there's little explosions, is going to be good enough. You're definitely going to want to have kind of like that like rocket launch coming out of each of these guys, explosions as the rockets hit, I think, and then it'll be in a decent spot. But for now, the core gameplay is good. It just appears to me that there's a whole lot of work left to be done when it comes to visual presentation, and also the way the UI presents information, automation, and things you can and can't do, and things you do and don't have available to the player. And so that's where I'm at right now with it. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile every single day in the world of indie games so that you don't need to. Today we were playing Oasis Mission, which is on sale for $15. I'll see y'all later. Thank you for stopping on in, and that's about all I got for you. Bye, folks.